In this video I'm going to show you how to fit a digital plug ready chip to one of these Scalextric Team LMP cars. This is the type of car that comes in a variety of Scalextric sets. I think it comes in the endurance racing set C1399, but you can pick them up on eBay for about £10, £10, €10. I think it's a really attractive car. It's got really fat tyres, it's got a flat floor, it's got the modern easy change braids, but annoyingly it doesn't have the window for the chip. So I'm going to show you how to fit one of these chips to one of these cars. Now the key thing to remember is you can see this hole here. That's where this little light infrared LED has to line up with. So I'll show you how to do that. Here's one I prepared earlier. You can see that it's not the neatest job in the world. Hopefully this one will be neater, but it does work. So I'll show you how to do it. So you need quite a lot of tools with this. First of all, obviously you need the donor car. I'm using this one. I think you can buy this car separately as a C3954. It comes in quite a nice golf racing livery. What else do you need? You need a soldering iron. You need a heat gun. You need solder, you need a drill and a variety of drill bits. I'm using a Dremel, don't need a Dremel, but you can, it's a lot easier if you've got one. You need a file. I'm using a cable tie to tidy things up later. You need a cross-headed screwdriver. I'm using some Xuron track cutters, but any side snips will do. Obviously you need your drill. You'll need some heat sink. And you'll need one of the, I left them in the bag because they are so minutely small. These are M2 by 4mm countersunk screws. And finally, you will need the digital plug ready chip. As I've already said, this is for F1 cars. You can see on the packaging there. Optimistically, it says you can digitalize your car in less than 60 seconds. It's going to take longer than 60 seconds, but that's the idea. And also you need this little 3D printed part that I've done. Now I'll quickly show you how the 3D printer works, but that's the end result. Right, so the first thing you need to do is take the body shell off. First thing on this is take the rear wing off. It's only held on with some little spring clips. So that you can see there, you just push those together and the rear wing comes off. Big rear wing. There's 4 screws on the bottom, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So just quickly undo them. This won't take a second. 1, 2. Make sure you don't lose these. 3 and 4. There we go. Right, so already loosened the one of this. Just whip the rear wing off this one as well. There we go. Put those to one side. So this is the donor car. You can see here it's quite a well engineered chassis, but it does have these webs here which sort of give the car this torsional stiffness. And give the motor mount. So what we're going to do is take the chip, basically fit it in there. Simple as that. So if I just look at this one that I've done already, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put the little receptacle in there, do the wiring harness. So you can see there that this one's already been done and it's all quite neat and tidy in there. Right, so the next thing, I've put the car on this little drill block because I will be doing a little bit of drilling in a minute. First thing to do is take the front axle off. Now these front axles have got knurled ends, so you need to twist the wheels off and they will come off. They are quite, first time you take them off, they are quite well secured, but there we go. So that's off. And for whatever reason that tyre came off as well, so put that to one side and then you can move the wiring harness out of the way. So what I'm going to do is basically where do I put it? Make this, now I'll put these little details on the bottom of this. Let me just zoom in on that. So you can see here I've got these little features which I will fit, will show you how it is. That's what the bottom will look like. So you can see there that it does, these little flats are for the glue to adhere to. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a 4mm drill and just drill out the rear hole. Now I'm going to use a slightly smaller drill block. No, I won't. I'll put it sideways. And I'll just drill through there. Careful not to do the shaft of the motor. There we go. That is drilled out. Right, so then the next thing you need to do is make sure that you've got, well, you put the little chip into the receptacle and just offer it up. So you can see there's already that little hole there. That's what the infrared needs to line up with. Now I've designed this such that this little front end here butts up against this. I'm not sure if you can see this terribly well, but there is a bit of relief on the where the pickup goes, and it should butt up against there when it's in. So you need to basically sort of drill it by eye. So I'm just going to put that, I'm going to take the chip out of the way before I damage it. And that goes in there. So I need to just do it by eye, how far it needs to go along. So I'm just going to drill, drill this hole. And then do one at the back as well, just in front of that hole that you've already enlarged. Right, so you've got two little holes there, which will be where the ship goes. Next thing you need to do is just basically enlarge that hole using the slitting disc. So I've taken the battery off my Dremel. I've got a battery Dremel, but I would recommend either taking the battery off or unplugging it so that you don't start it up accidentally and cut your hand off. That's in. I've got my safety goggles because that is key. And all I'm going to do now is just basically enlarge this hole with the Dremel. So here we go. There we go, it's looking like a bit of a mess now, but rest assured it will look pretty tidy when I've finished. Get rid of that. So, got a hole in the chassis now. Right, so the next thing you need to do is basically file out that hole in the chassis so that fits in really snugly. I'm not going to bore you with that, so I'll fast forward through this bit. Right, so I've cut the hole in the bottom. I'll just clean it up a bit. I'm just going to trial fit it, so that fits in there quite nicely like that. So there you can see receptacles already in the bottom of the car. So just give it a last little clean up to get all the little raised bits out. Yep, right, so slot that in again, just check it's all right. Yes, look at that, that's pretty nice. Right, so what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue. I'm using Loctite glue here. This is the stuff I like because in one of these little applicators they seem really good. Just put a load of glue in there and inside. Oops. And back as well. What I've found with the other car is that putting this this little receptacle really stiffens up the car, so that's quite a nice feature. So we'll just leave that for a minute to harden off. Right, so just slot that in. Just hold it there while it dries. Right, so while I'm waiting for the glue to dry, what I've done is I've put two little clamps on there just to hold it tight. I'm just going to show you the chip. So unlike the big door chip, hang on, I think I've got one of those. This one, the 8515, the smaller door has a much smaller harness, so you can see the difference. If I put them side by side, you can see the difference in the size of the plugs there. This one's I think it's a 2mm, and this little wiring harness here is, hang on, it's really stiff. That is a JST 1.25mm 4-pin plug and harness. You can get them for, I think they're about £3 for 5 on eBay, and they plug straight into there. So you don't want the 1mm, you want the 1.25, and you can see there that fits just perfect into the thing there. Now the wiring is a little strange. They've messed the wiring up, the colours up, but it's pretty simple. So if you take your car and you say that the red cable goes to the left-hand pickup and the black cable goes to the right-hand pickup, you have got the green wire going to the left-hand pickup, the yellow wire going to the red cable on the motor, you've got the black wire going to the right-hand pickup, and you've got the red wire going to the black wire on the motor. So just remember that and you won't go wrong. Right, so the next thing to do is to fit the chip into place. So you want to take it with the little LED thing at the front, just slide the wiring harness through the door. I had to just ease the back here, the little receptacle, because it must have deformed, so I put it in with the file, but it's quite a quick operation. So slide it into the front, and then there we go, lovely, it's in. I'm going to just screw that into place. So I'll take my little screws, these devilishly small things, and oh, I've got 5, and I'll just secure it into place so that it doesn't drop out. So you might find the first time this is a little bit tight, but rest assured it will go in. Oh, there we go, it's going really nicely. So there we go. You can see the car's modified. That's how it looks from the bottom. I've left the front axle out because that's quite key for this next bit. Right, so the next thing is the wiring. I find that it's good to write down the wires, what they mean, so you don't forget and wire it up wrong and blow your chip up. So that's what it's going to look like when we're finished. So the first thing to do is take the existing wiring harness. That's strange. On this one, the wires were stuck together. On this one, they're not. So I'm just going to cut this about halfway. These wires are so thin, it's unbelievable. And then simply trim. Like I said, the insulation is so wafer thin, you don't even need wire strippers for this. You can just use your fingernails. So just strip the wire back about 5mm on the end. There we go. And this one, there we go, look, can you see that? They're nicely trimmed. So the wires we're taking now are the green and the black. So let's take those out from the wire harness. And the other thing you need to do is cut a couple of little bits of heat shrink. So I'm just using this, I think it's 2mm. You want about a centimetre, 1 and 2, there we go. And so I've cut you need to leave enough wiring on there so that when you change the chip you can pull the chip out, but you don't need to leave loads on. So I'm going to cut about 5 centimetres off, so my wiring harness is about 5-6 centimetres long. So get rid of those and chuck those away because you'll never use those again. Again, trim the wires using your fingers. It is so thin, this insulation. Here we go. And that one. There we go. Now, I'm just going to switch my soldering iron on. There we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I've got one of these handy soldering tools which hold the wires in place, and I think you will need to use one of these because, like I said earlier, these wires are so thin and small. So let's just plug let's do the red one first. The red one goes in there like that, and the red one goes to the green. Right, see why you need to write the codes down, because you forget so easily. Right, and just bring those together. There we go. And hopefully the soldering should be warmed up. Get my soldering iron. While we wait for the soldering iron to warm up, I'm just going to slide my insulation on to the green. So my heat shrink, not my insulation, and the black one. There we go. And then I think, right, so red goes to green. I'm going to put that in the jaws of this thing. Make sure they're nice and straight, ready to go. Right, soldering iron should be warmed up now. And then just put the soldering iron underneath. Spot on, perfect. Right. So let's just put a blob of solder on here. There we go. That looks pretty good. Yeah. And let's do the same with the other one. So black, I've got my heat shrink on there already. And black goes to, sorry, the right hand pickup. Oh, that one does go to black. Check I've got my, yeah, got the heat shrink on there. Again, exactly the same process as before. There, perfect. Right, so that is all done now. Yep. So next thing is to slide the heat shrink into place. There we go. And my favourite part, hit it with the heat. So I've got a 2500 watt heat gun here, used for wallpaper stripping, but it's really good for sorting out heat shrink. So here we go. There we go. That heat shrink is shrunk. Nice secure fitting. So that's the first two done, and basically exactly the same operation on the rear two. So yellow goes to red and red goes to black. How confusing is that? Right, so there we go. All the wiring is done. It's a bit flappy and it's not going to always, but it's probably be fine in there. But I don't know. It's what I did with this one is I just cut a little hole in this little strake here and secure the cable. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Just going to run these front ones under the front axle like so, and so I'm going to drill a little hole using this little whatever bit that is, that's about 2 centimeters back from the back of the front wheel. So let's just move all the wires out of the way. Eye protection on. I'm using just a 2mm cable tie wrap, so I'm just going to dig a bit of a hole big enough to put the tie wrap in. So here we go. Right, so we should be able to slide our little tie wrap in. There we go. And then we can just tie wrap the cables down to stop them wobbling about as the car is speeding around the track. Yeah, just secure that down. Make sure it's on the inside. Make sure it can go under the front axle, and then just pull it tight. There we go. There we go. I think that's pretty happy with that. Yep, not bad. Snip off that tie wrap, and that can go in the bin. And then just stuff the front axle back in. There we go. Job done. Right, so before we put the body back on, I'm going to do a quick test. Right, so I've quickly set up my test track. It's just a simple 1.5 straights and 2 R1 hairpins. Now, when I first tested this, it went backwards. So what I've done is I noticed this is Scalextric. I've got these two cars, look, and you can see the wiring on the pickups is different in both of them. So all I did was I just basically unwired the motor connections and just swapped them around. So it's quite an easy fix, but slightly annoying. But you can see here it works. Right, so the final thing is to reattach the body. So I've got a different body to what it started with, but never mind, they're interchangeable. So slide, put that on the front there, on the rear there, like that. It's pretty quick and easy, this one. Whoops. The great thing about these cards is they are pretty tough, so if you drop them, it doesn't really matter. 2. 3, and 4. Put the rear wing on, like that. Works fine. So there you go. 2 cars there, modified to have the DPR chip on the bottom. All the links and descriptions for everything you need is in the links, and the link to the STLs that you need for the 3D printed parts. So yeah, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.